guys, so trying to start off 2026 on the right foot and actually review an arc on time, which down to the wire, but I have in fact made that, which is super awesome. As I said in my best and worst books of 2025, my goal for this year is to just like reading again. Problem, this book didn't help. So that was disappointing. But flip side, it can only go up from here, I think. Anyway, today I am reviewing an arc of Alexandria Bellafleur's new book, Playing for Keeps. If this name sounds familiar, it's because this is not the first of her books that I have read. Michaela and I did a joint review of one of her books called Written in the Stars, and then I went on and finished that series, which was about 3 books. Playing for Keeps is a brand new book. It's not directly connected to any of those books, but I am familiar with the author and her writing. This is an arc, so thank you to Edelweiss and the publisher for my free advanced review copy. This book does come out on tomorrow, Tuesday, so if you're watching this the day that I posted, it's not out yet, but it is coming soon. So you can get it for yourself. Get the other series. This one was not as good. So Playing for Keeps is the story of Poppy and Rosalind. They are both publicists working for their respective clients who have recently entered into a relationship. Poppy is the childhood best friend and now publicist of a NFL quarterback, the best quarterback in the league, in fact, Cash Curran, and Rosalind is the publicist for a very, very famous music artist named Lyric Adair. Now, does this sound slightly familiar? This book is very Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce coded. I do not like when people use the love stories of real life people as inspiration. It feels weird to me. It's like I can't really disconnect my brain all the way to not be thinking of the real life parallel they're trying to make here. The only reason I actually decided to request this book is A, I've read Alexandria's books before and I really liked them, and B, this isn't focusing on Lyric and Cash, even though their love story is kind of occurring at the same time, but it is focused on the sapphic love story of Poppy and Rosalind instead. Poppy's character is really, really interesting and I think had a lot of possible depth to her, which is why I did decide to continue to finish this book, even though in the beginning there were already some fairly large red flags for me. I'll talk about those in a second, but first the good. Poppy, she has had a lot of adversity in her life. Her parents essentially accident baby, so she has a 15 or more age gap between her and her 2 older siblings, and her parents were done having kids by the time Poppy came around, so she was left alone a lot as a kid. There was some resentment from her parents, so she has a really, really fractured relationship with her family. And also she has struggled with alcoholism in her life, and there's a pretty robust description of what has happened to Poppy in the past, so none of that happens in the course of the novel, but if that is something that you don't want to read about, please be aware that it's a very, very big part of Poppy's character, or at least, that her parents are waiting for her to crash again, and she feels like she has to really make it up to Cash to make it up to him for when he took care of her while she was trying to get herself clean and fix herself up. Cash took a chance on her, and she wants to prove him right. So she is very, very devoted to being the best publicist Cash has ever had. This was what her degree is in. It's what she wanted to do. It's not like she just is just doing it. But she is 25, 26 or so, or a little bit younger. And so this is her first time hitting the big time when Cash got into the NFL. But now he's basically dating someone who is on Taylor Swift's levels of fame. And so this is all just kind of hitting her like a truck. Lyric's publicist, like I said, Rosaline, unclear. I kept saying Rosalind in my head, but it may be Rosaline. Anyway, I'm going to keep saying Rosalind because otherwise I'm going to mess it up. So Rosalind does not get any POV chapters. She is 9 years older than Poppy. So she has been at this a lot longer. She started as Lyric's representation when Lyric was 16 and she was also 25. So basically, she's already been through what Poppy is going through right now. It's like this drastic rise to fame, and like she is basically known as a shark in the industry. She's feared, beloved, all those things, and she's really Poppy's idol. And so even though she can't believe Cash, much like the friendship bracelet and then like calling Taylor out on the New Heights podcast, Cash tweets at Lyric and is like, hey, I'd really like to get to know you, blah, blah, blah. And Poppy can't believe this, but she's also like so excited to be able to spend time with Rosalind because she's her idol and also she's hot. Unfortunately, while the book gives us a really firm foundation of some very interesting emotional things that could happen, the rest of the plot is very, very weakly built. Even though Rosalind is set up to be kind of like very aloof, this is very like kind of like a grumpy sunshine thing. She is set up to kind of be the ice queen. She's the one that just kind of like, the third time she meets Poppy, kind of like shows up at the house with pizza and then comes on to her. And of course, Poppy's like, this is really exciting and this is really amazing. And then they're just doing it. And I understand from Poppy's situation that she can't believe that, you know, this person that she really looks up to and thinks is really, really hot and like, you know, just has all these feelings wrapped up into like, for Poppy, who's always felt really unwanted, to be wanted, of course she's not going to say no, right? I do not understand, and again, we don't get the POV chapter, but also there is nothing in the character that we know of Rosalind that would make any of this make sense. So that just kind of felt like a womp, like the plot needed it to happen, so it happened. Rosalind in the original time that they get together, even though they do a lot of sexy stuff, there's a lot of open door sex scenes in this book, will not let Poppy kiss her. And so one of the things that happens again in this very, very weird relationship is like eventually as the relationship goes on, Rosalind will let Poppy kiss her. And Poppy's really excited about this, but like there's no discussion about this. Like, it just kind of happens, and we know that it should be a big deal because it was something that Rosalind specifically said she didn't want earlier because, like, she probably didn't want to get too close or anything. Again, there was no explanation of why she didn't want to either, and then it's just happening. And so, like, basically, I use this as an example of, you know, the plot is just kind of happening and the relationship is just kind of happening. At one point when Rosalind calls Poppy her girlfriend, even Poppy is confused. Like Poppy doesn't understand where this relationship is, and it just kind of, it's just happening, and there is no emotional buildup. There's no emotional depth to it. There's some really, really funny banter. Poppy is hilarious, which is part of, you know, one of the things that I really like about Alexandria's writing, but the plot otherwise itself is so bland and weakly constructed that I just kind of felt like everything that I was expecting to happen happened, including the third act where it is clear that both Cash and Lyric and Poppy and Rosalind, nobody actually trusts each other, or this never would have happened because it's just like one bad thing, whoomp, the whole thing falls apart, which again, it's the third act. These are the things that happen, but it's just like, there's no trust in this relationship. There's no depth to these relationships. This is all happening really fast. Nobody's dealt with their emotional trauma because, again, it's set up for Poppy to have a lot of interesting things to deal with. In this case, Rosalind is more like the, you know, stable, like has her shit figured out and is kind of trying to help Poppy through some of it. But a lot of those threads are just never picked up again, really, or really resolved in any way. Yeah, I mostly finished this book out of confusion, which was, I was just like, this is one of the most robotic, weird romances that I've read in a while, which despite the promise that Poppy's character had and the banter, which really is entertaining, it's just felt like it was just like romance step 1, romance step 2, now they kiss, now they, and it just kind of felt a little bit uninspired, honestly. Like, it was just so boring. Listen, romance novels follows tropes, they follow steps. We know they're gonna break up in the third act because this is what happens in romance, but this just felt like there was no attempt to grow the relationship from the inside, right? I could not understand really, especially from Rosalind's point of view, what she was getting out of this, why this was happening. A lot of her choices about the romance make no sense. Poppy is confused. Like when your narrative character does not understand her own romance story, how am I supposed to know? I don't get it. I was so sad about this because, again, I've read the whole 3 books in the Written in the Stars series, and I really liked those. It was that same like funny banter situation, but I felt like those romances, each of them had more depth to them. Like there was an attempt to build up both characters as full 3D people, not just like 2D paper cuts of romance characters, just kind of like marathoning their way to the end. So I really am sad about this book. Honestly, I had much higher expectations of it. It just really did not work for me. That being said, I don't think that it's like, I wouldn't tell you not to read it, right? Because like structurally, in terms of the writing, again, the banter is fun. It's a cute sapphic love story. Cash and Lyric in the background are really, really cute. But it had way more potential that just wasn't given any depth, or it didn't really even feel like it tried. It introduced some really, really deep concepts, like Poppy potentially having to go no contact with her family and then just yada yada it away. Super weird. So again, this book comes out tomorrow. If you're watching this video the day that I post it, if you're seeing it tomorrow, the book is already out and you can get it from your local library or whoever you get your own books. If you would like to try it out, I've been reading other reviews and it seems like it's a kind of cute love story that has worked for other people, so maybe it works for you. But man, having read those other books, I definitely expected more. That just was not there. It felt so uninspired and so confusing, which was not really how I wanted to start off my 2026, but here we are. January has a lot of really interesting books from authors that I have liked before. So this was one. I was really excited for this one. Obviously it did not pull through, but I am very hopeful that I will continue to read my books on time, get the reviews out, and hopefully some of these other authors that are just like, have had some really, really excellent books. They can't all be like this, right? Right? I guess we're gonna find out together. Here's hoping. Thanks, guys. Bye.